Welcome into the Extra Point presented by Corner Pub in Brentwood on 710 Old Hooker Boulevard. For Nashville's best meat and threes, craft beers, and more, the neighborhood meets at the corner. Zach, Butch Jones has changed a lot with his coaching staff this offseason. But in your mind, which was the most important coaching change this year?
I think it's got to be the offensive coordinator, Larry Scott. And I know you're probably going to adamantly disagree with this because I know your feelings on Scott. Okay. But for where Tennessee is going into 2017, and especially where Butch Jones is, he's got a brand new boss in John Curry as the athletic director. I'm not saying he's on the hot seat, but he's got to put out and show out, and he's got to win some big-time games starting in Atlanta against Georgia Tech. I think Larry Scott understands the offense. You got to remember that it's still Butch Jones's offense. And if you change that around with Dormady and Garantano, who have already been in the program and had learned all that, it's harder to make a quarterback decision when they're both learning something new. I think Larry Scott comes in there, fills the void, and I like what he did. You don't hire Mark Helfrich to come in there and change everything around, who could be your replacement if you have a bad year. Larry Scott, I like that hire. We'll see what happens.
Yeah, he's never called plays in college.
I get it.
And so what happens on Saturdays in this fall, true. So, I for the record, I'd like a lot of Butch Jones's coaching hires. I like Charlton Warren, the DB coach. I even like Brady Hoke. I think he's going to be a good defensive line coach for Tennessee. But the most important hire this offseason for Tennessee football, Rock Gullickson, the strength and conditioning coaches, whip these guys back into shape because they clearly were not in shape last season with all the injuries, whether they're fluke or are not fluky injuries. You've got to make sure this team does not get run all over the place on their defense, and they got to stay healthy. And the first way to do that is the strength coach.
I think he will make an impact, but my question is, do they have the talent to supersede expectations?
They definitely have the talent. I mean, Butch Jones has recruited very, very well the last 4 years.
He's recruited very well in the last 4 years, but they don't have Josh Dobbs or Derek Barnett or all the studs they had last year.
I get that.
So they don't have the talent that they had a year ago.
So how do you take the guys that you don't know about and make them something in the offseason with the strength coach? And that's where Rock Gullickson comes into play.
We'll see who impacts the program more.
And that's today's Extra Point presented by Corner Pub in Brentwood on A to Z Sports Nashville.com.